My name is Carolyn McHugh, and I'm an interior designer. For my undergrad degree, I decided to study linguistics and ended up working for the government of Canada. I knew it wasn't the right thing. I knew it wasn't what my heart wanted to do. Lo and behold, I found the AAS program, which was targeted exactly for people like me who wanted to change careers.
My name is Jim Wagner, and I'm the president of Certainly Studio here in New York. My background is in journalism and television. I worked in TV for about 20 years. I felt like I did everything I wanted to do and needed to move on to something new and fresh and exciting.
My name is Katie King, and I'm a designer. Once I decided that I wanted to do fashion design, I figured I needed to move to New York. I immediately thought of Parsons, but I didn't want to do the undergrad program again.
My name is Rachel Demain, and I am a brand assistant for Beholden. I had graduated with a bachelor's degree in communicative disorders. I've always wanted to go into a more creative field, and I've always loved fashion.
Well, I think the beauty of the AAS program is it's the opportunity to do advanced level work, but also in 2 years I was in and out.
The AAS degree is a really good way to learn exactly the skills you need in order to get in the fashion industry as quickly as possible.
You can do fast track, and so the fast track program allows you to use credits from your previous degree.
Well, I had that unique experience of doing the online program. It was very interesting to form that classroom community, but in an online environment. And I really got to know my fellow students because you had to communicate with them on a weekly basis, on a daily basis.
I was taking classes with people who had law degrees, business degrees, science backgrounds. I mean, there were people from all over the world.
Each of those people came with interesting perspective on design.
And the faculty, they're actually practicing members of the community. They're architects, they're interior designers. So they're not just up there lecturing at you, they are telling you about what really happens in the real world.
I took a public relations class, and the professor was actually the director of public relations for Fashion Week.
I had a teacher in a knitwear class, and she said, you know, one of my designers I work with needs an intern. Would you be interested? I think you'd really like her work. I really loved it. You learn where to buy fabric, source materials.
After school, after Parsons, I ended up working for a firm called Yabu Puschelberg. I went in there as an intern. 5.5 years later, I was on the management team. And then I decided it's time. So I just started my own company a few months ago, and it's going really well.
The name of the company is Certainly Studio. The name originated from a friend of mine who said every time anybody gives you a challenge, gives you a question, asks you to do something, you always say certainly.
JF & Son was started by me and my partner, Jessie. We have a textile studio in India. For Jessie and I, it was really important to figure out a means of production that could ensure that our stuff was made in fair conditions.
I helped to coordinate brand events for Beholden. This past February, we were able to do an event for wedding bloggers that really helped to build that buzz for our brand.
People will tell you that you're crazy. I remember when I quit my job in my previous field. What do you mean? What are you doing? And so you have to have the belief in yourself that you can do it, because you can do it.
Good morning. Oh, I'm gonna need a little more energy from the crowd today. Let's try that again. Good morning. Thank you. My name is Courtney Malenius, and I'm the Director of Admission for the graduate and the associate degree programs at Parsons. And on behalf of the admissions office, I would just like to welcome you all today on this sort of rainy Sunday afternoon. Today you're going to be hearing about our school and the associate degree programs, as well as how to navigate the admissions process. But our history offers some important context for understanding how we became the institution that we are today. So the New School was founded nearly a century ago by academic visionaries from top universities, frustrated by the intellectual timidity of academia at the time, and they envisioned a new kind of institution where faculty and students would be free to openly address the problems facing society in the 20th century. And today we have come to house 5 renowned colleges and schools here in New York: the Parsons School of Design, the College of Performing Arts, the New School for Social Research, the Schools of Public Engagement, and the Eugene Lang College of Liberal Arts, which is our undergraduate liberal arts college. And we also offer some of our bachelor's and master's degree programs at our sister campus in Paris. Today, we are a comprehensive university of 10,000 students coming to us from 116 foreign countries in all 50 US states. The New School enrolls more than a third of its diverse student population from countries around the world. Domestically, we draw students from all 50 states, and this past year, our incoming associate's degree class for Parsons was approximately 50% international, which was something that we are certainly very proud of. Each year, all of the colleges bring together students from across the country and around the world, artists, designers, writers, performers, and creative intellectual thinkers, and prepares them to take on a world that in many ways doesn't yet exist. A progressive liberal arts college, a design school, and performing arts college come together with legendary graduate programs, and the walls between disciplines begin to dissolve. At our school, journalists collaborate with designers, architects with social researchers, media specialists with activists, and poets with musicians. Parsons itself first opened in 1896 as the Chase School by leading a group of progressives to secede from the Art Student League of New York in search of more individualistic expression. Under the eventual leadership of Frank Parsons, the school then created groundbreaking programs in art and design, linking them with industry. In 1970, Parsons joined the New School, where today we continue our legacy of innovation in design practice, theory, and collaboration. And Parsons is consistently ranked among top art and design schools globally. To share more with you about the Parsons School of Design, I am delighted to introduce Parsons Dean, Joel Towers.
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Courtney. Welcome. It's nice to see so many of you on even a rainy day here in New York. I really want to give you a chance, hopefully today, to get a sense of what it's like to be at Parsons, what the school is like. And the best way to do that is to hear from alumni, from students, from our faculty, because really a school is comprised of 3 key important components, if you will. The faculty, and I'll say a bit about that in a moment, the curriculum, and the facilities. And all 3 of these combined in the service of the education and the students that are here. And the students make up this extraordinary, as you heard from Courtney, diverse community of creative individuals, many of whom, particularly in the associate's degree programs, are coming to school with a vast set of experiences in the background, but a desire to make a change in a direction, in a career, to advance within their careers, and this is the perfect opportunity to do so. But to just step back for a moment and say a few words about Parsons. About 15 years ago, when I first came to the school as a member of the faculty, we were in a period of growing our full-time faculty quite aggressively. The school, mostly at that point, was run by a series of administrators and adjunct faculty, and we didn't have a very deep bench of full-time faculty. And one of the things that we decided at that time was that in order to rethink our curriculum in all of the fields in which we are known for and in which we teach, we felt it was very important to have a balance of full-time faculty who could think about the overall arc of a curriculum, meaning the 2 years of the associate's degree, the 4 years of the bachelor's, the 2 to 3 years of the graduate programs, thinking about a student's experience over that entire time and in relationship to changes and opportunities in the fields of practice. And so we built up our full-time faculty now to almost 180 full-time faculty across Parsons. And there's really no other urban art and design school that I know of that has that level of full-time faculty participation. At the same time, we've maintained and in fact advanced our robust connection to the artists and designers and business leaders here in New York City who are part of our adjunct faculty. And so we have about 1,200 of those. And between that extraordinary practicing community in the arts and design, in strategy and business, and this very robust now full-time faculty, we have spent much of this last 15 years really rethinking what art and design education should be for the 21st century. And what I will tell you about that process, beyond the fact that it sounds kind of a little nerdy, but that we get very excited about curriculum around here, because it's precisely the choreography of that experience that prepares you for fields that are rapidly in transition. Technologically, in types of the kinds of collaborations and opportunities presented, the complexity that artists and designers and business innovators are asked to engage with today requires a sort of radical collaboration, a collaboration that does not stop within disciplinary boundaries. And so we have set up the school, its curriculum, and its structures to enable that kind of collaboration and to take full advantage of being here at the New School so that it's not just the Parsons cross-disciplinarity that you're able to work with, but in fact the entire New School. It's humanities, it's social sciences, performance, and policy. And one of the things, should you choose to come here, that I would strongly encourage you to do is to take advantage of that heterogeneity, of that cross-disciplinarity, because the time you spend here, for as intense as it may be, as short as it may be, you really need to use this as an opportunity to break all the rules, to push all the boundaries, to learn things that you would otherwise not do in the fields themselves. So it starts with the faculty. It builds into this curriculum, which right now, there couldn't be a better time to be joining the associate degree programs. These last years in particular have been an intense focus on what we should be teaching and how we should be teaching it. The programs are rich and vibrant in ways that I think make them really deeply relevant, and you'll hear from our alumni about that in a moment. And then we've made this very significant investment in the facilities that support that education. And really, and I'm an architect, so you'd think, well, you build the stuff first and then you try and fill it, but it doesn't work that way, or at least it doesn't work out well that way, usually. We had to do the curricular work first. We had to be thinking about what were we trying to support, what were the sorts of cross-disciplinary spaces that we needed to build, and how would they hopefully function in order to then think about what we wanted to build. And so over the course of these last 5 years or so, we have opened this university center. We've completely redone the Sheila Johnson Design Center at its lower level with its new galleries. We've introduced and opened a new making center on the second floor and at the lower level of the Sheila Johnson, as well as several other new facilities for the hybridization of technology and making, and so very high-end making facilities hybridized with traditional materials and making, because we don't see this as some sort of linear process in which you forget everything that was known over the last several thousand years about how to make, but you bring these technologies into the future and you hybridize them. And so the spaces are collaborative and the technologies are support collaboration. And then we've built new hubs for several of the schools within Parsons in order to reinforce that nature of collaboration and working together and crossing disciplinary boundaries. So we're going to keep doing that work over these next several years, but the school has never been never, I don't know, it's 122 years old, but it's in a really good place now. And so the best way to hear about it, I think, are from our alumni and from our faculty. You'll have an opportunity after this panel to also meet with the program directors, an extraordinary group of faculty who I have the privilege of working with. And without further ado, I think we should hear from some of our alumni. So Courtney, I'll give it back to you, and thank you all for coming. And if you have any questions, I will be around.
Absolutely. So today's open house will provide you with the opportunity to learn more about our associate degree programs, which, as Joel mentioned, are really very unique. They are intended for mature career changers or career enhancers looking to make a significant career shift into the creative industries. Most of our AAS applicants have bachelor's degrees in unrelated fields, although it is technically not a requirement that you have a prior bachelor's degree to apply. The average age of our incoming associate student body is around 26 years of age, although it certainly can run the gamut. But you do need to be at least 2 years out of high school in order to be eligible for admission. So they're not really intended for students coming directly from their senior years of high school. Many of our students, again, are looking to make a sort of fast and effective career change, so they decide to pursue these degrees as full-time learners. However, if you're a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident not here on a student visa and you would like to do these programs part-time, you certainly can elect to do so. And we offer many day and evening classes as well as some online sections to choose from. Now, we currently offer 4 associate degree programs, which you're going to be hearing about in much greater detail during our program breakout sessions. So I'm going to leave all the good stuff for the faculty to be able to engage with you on. But I'd just like to go over what the 4 programs are. Within our School of Constructed Environments, we have an associate's degree in interior design, which is a 65 credit degree, and it takes students on average about 3 to 4 semesters to be completed. I'm going to be talking in greater detail in just a couple of minutes about transfer credits and how that works. So there's a chance that you may be able to pursue what we call the fast track option, which one of our alums spoke about in the video, although many of our students who even qualified to do that elect to do it part-time and space it out over 3 semesters. And the degrees, again, can be done full-time or part-time. Within our School of Art, Media, and Technology, we have an associate's degree in graphic design. Within the School of Fashion, we have an associate's degree in fashion design. And also within the School of Fashion, our associates in fashion marketing. Now, this program can be done either on campus here in New York City or online if you're applying for the fall 2018 term. Now, by the end of today's open house, we're certain that you'll all be excited to apply. And so I'd like to take just a few moments now to walk you through the application process in greater detail. The priority deadline for those applying for the fall 2018 term is going to be April 1st. It's just around the corner. We've got about a month to be working on your applications. And classes for the fall term begin in late August. Now, if you'd prefer to wait and apply for the spring term, which is the classes that would begin next January, the 2019 application will be posted on our website, usually in early September, and the priority deadline for the spring term is going to be October 15th. Now, we always accept applications after the priority deadlines, provided that there's still available space in each of our programs, but we do recommend that you try to apply as close to the priority deadlines as possible. So what is in the application process? Essentially, in order to apply, you'll have to submit an online application, and you can access that from the admission section of the Parsons webpage. It costs $50 to apply. Now, you're required to submit your official college transcripts in order to be considered for transfer credits, which again, I'm going to go into greater detail in just a couple of moments. Official transcripts should be mailed to the Office of Admission. If your school offers an official electronic transcript delivery service, we can also arrange to receive official electronic transcripts. And if your education was done overseas and you attended college outside of the United States, in order to consider you for transfer credit, we'll need to receive what's called a WES evaluation. WES stands for World Education Services, and essentially will equate your international transcript onto the U.S. credit system so that we can understand how many credits to potentially award you. So if you are an international student and you were studying overseas for your bachelor's degrees, make sure to give yourself a little bit of extra time to obtain the WES course-by-course evaluation, and then you'll have that evaluation sent to our office. If you've been out of high school for at least 2 years, but you have not attended college at this point in time, you'll have to submit your official high school transcripts to our office. Now, you're also going to upload a copy of your resume to the online application system, as well as your statement of intent essay, which is about a 1 to 2 page essay where you articulate why it is you're applying to Parsons and what it is about the program you're applying to that you're most excited about. In addition to the essay and the statement of intent, the resume and the statement of intent essay, you'll also be asked to submit what's called a creative assignment, and I'm going to go over that on the next slide with you. Now, if English is not your native language and your education, your college education was not done at a university where English was the language of instruction, we would need to receive what's called a TOEFL, IELTS, or a PTE score in order to determine your English fluency. And on the TOEFL exam, we're looking for a score of 79 or better for the associate degree programs. On the IELTS exam, it's a 6.5 or better, and on the PTE, it would be a 53 or better. And if you have letters of recommendation, you can elect to submit letters of reference, but they're not required for this application. Now, the creative assignment. We recognize that students applying to the associate degree programs often have an interest in the subject to which they're applying for, but no formal education or prior training in that particular field. And that's why we don't require an extensive portfolio as part of the application process for these programs. However, what we would like to see from you is what's called a creative assignment, which shows us your basic understanding of the program and your passion for the subject. So these are meant to be sort of fun activities and exercises to get you thinking about the career change you're anticipating to make. So for the fashion design program, we'd ask you to create a collage that defines the lifestyle of the man or the woman that you hope to design for someday. You can use images taken from magazine, you can submit sketches if you like, and pay attention to things like color and texture and other basic elements. For fashion marketing, you're going to submit a one-page analysis of a fashion marketing campaign that you feel has been successful and why it was successful. For graphic design, we ask you to design an 8x8 postage stamp depicting your favorite fruit or vegetable. And you can have a lot of fun with this. We do see a lot of apples because we're the Big Apple, but really go wild and pick something that we don't see every day. For interior design, we ask you to create a collage of images that illustrates your ideas for designing the space for a small at-home advertising agency that's based in an urban townhouse setting. So in this design, include details and descriptions about furniture and colors and, again, textures and sort of where you see the layout of this advertising agency in an urban townhouse like one based here in New York City. So for all of these creative assignments, you'll save them, like photograph them, save them, and simply upload them to the online application system. Now, transfer credits. One of the great things about our associate degree programs is that for students who have completed college credits, either a completed bachelor's or maybe started some college credits but didn't finish their bachelor's degrees, you can submit your official transcripts to be considered for potential transfer credit, and thus it will reduce the length of time needed to earn our associate's degrees. So if you have a prior bachelor's degree completed at a college here in the United States, you're eligible to receive up to 21 liberal arts credits. If your bachelor's degree was completed overseas in a language other than English, you're eligible for up to 15 liberal arts credits. And if your overseas education was done in English, you're eligible for up to 21. All applicants can also be considered for up to 10 studio art credits. And finally, for students applying to the fashion design or fashion marketing programs, you can be considered for up to 10 credits of either business or marketing or business courses. Now, the maximum amount of potential transfer credits is 31, leaving you with a remaining 34 credits to earn the degree. And again, as one of the students in our video alluded to, that can technically be done in 1 year and what we call the fast track option, but we're very honest with students that it is an intensive experience and will require a lot of flexibility on your part in terms of scheduling of courses and class availability as well. So if you bring in the maximum amount of transfer credit and you're really committed to doing the program on the 1 year fast track, we would ask that you have a conversation with your academic advisor to make sure that that's the right track for you. And other students who still transfer in 31 credits elect to space their degree out over, say, 3 or 4 semesters. And so it really is sort of a personal choice that you'll make with a conversation with your faculty as well as your academic advisors as to how you will complete the remaining credits needed to earn the degree. And if you're accepted to our programs, you'll be receiving from the Office of Admission what's called a statement of transfer credit that will show you how your prior college credits have transferred into our curriculums. And that it will be sent via email, usually a couple of days after you've received your acceptance letter from us. Now, we understand that enrollment decisions come with significant financial commitments as well, but education is an investment that really lasts a lifetime. So we want to make sure that we're also answering all of the questions that you may have about financing your associate education here today. Now, in order to be considered for merit-based scholarships, there's no additional application forms that you'll need to fill out. Merit scholarships are based on the overall quality of your application, and you'll be automatically considered for merit-based scholarships when you're submitting your application to Parsons. And if you're selected to receive a merit scholarship, you'll be alerted to that in an email that'll come from our Office of Student Financial Services, usually about 3 to 4 days after you've received your acceptance letter. So just check your email for that. All applicants are considered for merit-based scholarships, including international students. So I know that that's very important, and I believe we have quite a few international students who had registered for today. So I just want to make that perfectly clear that all students, both U.S. citizens and non-citizens, are eligible for our merit scholarship consideration. And additionally, if you are a U.S. citizen or permanent resident and you would like to apply for what's called need-based financial aid, you can submit a FAFSA. The FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid, and it gets submitted to the federal government by the priority filing deadlines, although they also accept FAFSAs after those deadlines as well. And your email from the Student Financial Service Office will tell you if you've qualified for any need-based aid as well. Now, in addition to all that the New School has to offer, our campus in downtown Manhattan provides a living and networking experience like no other. So students that are interested in living on campus in our residence halls can apply for on-campus housing after they receive their admission letter. And this goes for associate degree students as well as master's students. Housing on campus costs, on average, about $16,000 to $22,000 for the academic year. And so if you are interested in living in an on-campus residence hall, the main thing to remember to do is that you must fill out the housing application by the priority deadline, which is June 15th, for fall housing that would begin in late August. And then you're probably getting a sense that we don't just consider New York City to be our home, but it's also our classroom. And facilities on campus, as Joel said, are better than ever, but we don't just teach physically on our campus. A major benefit to any college in New York City is that we enable students to learn beyond the classroom walls, and we use New York City landmarks such as museums and galleries for class visits and academic research as well. Our students are immersed in work being done here every day. Last year alone, New School students interned at more than 1,200 different companies in this city, including places like Marc Jacobs, HBO, MTV, the New York Times, Marvel Comics, and the Museum of Modern Art, just to name a few. And the New School also provides access to a lifelong network of talented and innovative minds, from our faculty to our alumni, our advisors, and of course our fellow students. They're all actively engaged in their respective fields and can help link you to opportunities throughout the city and beyond. Now, to learn more about career services, I'm going to invite my colleague and friend, Marisa LoBianco, to the stage, who's going to share with you the various ways that the Office of Student Success is here to support you. And in addition to Marisa's valuable insights, we also have 4 very distinguished alumni who are here to share their stories with you as well. So coming to the stage are Marisa, as well as Fiona Liu, an alum of our fashion design program, Sara Gillies, an alum of our fashion marketing program, Will Sachs, an alum of our interior design program, and Caitlin Owens, an alum of our graphic design program. So I'm going to invite them up to the stage to share with you their stories.
Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone. I think we still have a little bit of morning left. My name is Marisa LoBianco, and I'm the Director of Career Services and Experiential Education. And basically what that means is we're doing both the career aspect of it in terms of providing networking events to meet employers, as well as the experiential piece is really primarily internships. So we do have a somewhat of a unique setup here where our success advisors are providing both academic as well as career advice to students, which means that Career Services itself, the office that I work within, is doing a lot of the networking programs, inviting employers on campus for things like career fairs, info sessions, on-campus interviewing and such. And I will say that it is actually career fair time is just about upon us, and this semester alone, next week is a fashion career fair, the following week is a design career fair, and the following month is an architecture and interior design fair, which culminate to around over 100 employers on campus per semester just for the fairs, in addition to individual info sessions that we have on an ongoing basis. We also do industry panels from time to time, and I will say that one of my pleasures of having worked here, because I have worked in several other colleges, is that employers really know the Parsons brand and honestly are knocking down the door to get in here. So we're a very busy office, and we're very excited to constantly have events where students get the chance to engage and meet with employers and get the chance to pursue opportunities, whether they're internships, part-time, full-time positions, and such. Additionally, we're not only providing the experience to meet with employers, but we're also doing some career development programming. So that means that we are offering workshops regularly on how to get an internship, how to get a job, networking, interviewing, your portfolio. The list goes on, and we're always adding and we're always changing, and we find that students really get a lot from those workshops, in addition to the one-on-one advice they would receive from meeting with their success advisor who is specific to their program. So that's some of the offerings that we have. In addition, we have started to work with this career success plan. Now, even though it may not be exactly 2 years or it may look different for different people, we did find it really helpful to organize it in a sense that we are, directing students to what can and should be happening at certain points along their education, especially because it is a unique program in that you may be bringing other educational and industry experience with you. So this is very flexible, but it is kind of there to be an outline so that students know and understand that, for example, as enthusiastic as you may be, you don't need to do an internship in, say, your first semester. Come in, get familiarized with your classes, meet your advisor, work on your resume, cover letter, portfolio, so that you are really well prepared and you have a really strong application for when you do apply. Additionally, our office is in charge of sharing resources with students. So even just by visiting our Career Services page within the New School website, you will find many resources not only on how to create your documents and materials, but also careers by major worksheets that really go through your options with your degree and how vast that really is. We also offer an in-house job board called The Village, which lists jobs, internships, as well as all of our events, giving you a chance to RSVP to them and engage with our office. Something else we offer is going global, not only because of our large international student population, but also because we know that our students here are also very excited to be able to go overseas. Going global is a huge database, the largest, very well used by universities in terms of learning about what those opportunities are, and also more information about H-1B visa, and really actually very practical tools and resources that if you are going to another country, you could actually find out how much does a carton of milk cost there, like really very useful information so that you can make the transition more seamlessly. So to kind of separate out, because we do have somewhat of a unique distinction from some other universities, because our success advisors provide both the academic and career counseling, which has been very successful in the past few years, because it means the conversation about careers is starting right away. So, that first meeting that you have with your advisor, of course, you'll discuss the classes that you'll be taking, but there will also be the conversation that will force you to kind of start thinking about how does this coursework relate to the future career that I'm interested in pursuing. So we just wanted to differentiate here that while the success advisors are helping you with the one-on-one work, the way that our office works is not only having the events, but also once you secure an internship, then you would come to us and we will help you secure credit if you're interested in doing so, or some type of transcript notation with the internship being noted there. In terms of where our students intern, the answer is honestly anywhere and everywhere. It is absolutely not limited to this list. This is just some recognizable names that we thought would be nice to share. It's changing all the time. It's growing all the time. On average, we increase the number of employers on campus from 10 to 20% per year. And I could say off the top of my head, next week I know that Dior, Oscar de la Renta is coming to the fashion fair, and following, Yabu Pushelberg, who was mentioned in the video, they usually come to our events. So it's really broad, it's really vast, and the great part about this is you are not limited. If there's a company that you're really interested in, your dream company, whatever that may be, you are definitely encouraged to go ahead and apply. We will support you through that process, of course. But then it's really up to you, and that's why our students are able to get these opportunities really across the board and at so many different types of places, because they're motivated by their individual thoughts and ideas about what makes sense for their unique career path. So really, the world's your oyster. You have so many choices here, and having that Parsons brand and that name on your resume really, really helps get your foot in the door. But I could go on and on about that, but it's so much nicer to hear from people who have actually been through it themselves. So I would like to take this moment to have our panelists introduce themselves, share a little bit about where they're originally from, what programs they were in, and then hear a little bit more about their unique experiences here. So you can feel free to start.
Hi, I'm Will Sachs. I did interior design, the AAS program. I'm originally from a small town out in Morris County, New Jersey, but I've been in the city now about 14 years. What are the questions?
Which program did you graduate from would be the last piece.
Interior design.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Thanks, Will.
Hi, I'm Sara. I'm from Melbourne, Australia, so very far away, and I moved to New York to study the Fashion Marketing AAS course. I completed it with the Fast Track program, so if anyone has questions about that, I'm here to answer. It was an amazing experience, and I loved it very much.
Great.
Hi, everyone. I'm Fiona. I'm coming from China, and I graduated from AAS Fashion Design program last year, May. So it's very new, but I really feel grateful and I appreciate the time to spend in Parsons, and I think I do make a great choice in my life. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Caitlin Owens. I graduated in the AAS Graphic Design program. I'm from Western Maryland and originally did my undergrad in an arts degree, went into fashion design, and decided to pivot at that point a couple of years in to go into more brand creative and marketing through the AAS program.
Okay, great, thanks. So we'd love to hear a little bit more about, what was your educational or professional background before pursuing this degree, and what was it that motivated you to want to make this change into a creative industry?
My undergraduate degree actually was in drama and psychology. I thought I was going to be a classical actor, but unless you need like a young Steve Martin, I wasn't going to get cast. So I was, or maybe Daniel Day-Lewis. So I was turning 30, and I was kind of having like a midlife crisis in my 30s, and I was, like I said, I did my undergrad, then I came to the city, went to acting school for 2 years, and then I was waiting tables, bartending, and doing store displays while I was auditioning and trying to be an actor. And I think kind of that loop into visuals kind of turned me on to design. So I applied to Parsons. I basically applied to like 2 programs. I applied to the Old Globe in San Diego, which would have been a master's in classical text. And I applied to Parsons, and I was like, okay, whatever. If I get into either of these schools, that'll kind of determine my future. And so I applied, got into Parsons, and went into the program. I'd heard, my friend had done it, and I'd heard really good things about it. And so I was just sick and tired of waiting and bartending and like painting windows. So yeah, that's how that happened. It's probably not the most inspiring story, but I wasn't like a lawyer or anything. I was just making drinks, so.
So I completed my media and comms degree back in Melbourne. It was a bachelor's degree, and then I actually, for a few years, was a vocalist. So sort of explored marketing and sort of branding from that point of view. And then I decided, after working with a women's wear label for a year, that I really needed to take the next step. So I applied for the AAS course, and then moved over here and haven't looked back. It's great.
Well, my background, I was born in China. I was born in the 80s. So I didn't have a lot of choice, but I had to go to the school my father chose for me. So my BA is actually industrial design, all this integrated circuits or CNC machine, which is I never liked it. I hated it. So, but then I took a career. I worked in China for many years, but it has nothing to do with my industrial design background. So I worked as a TV journalist, and then later on, I worked many years for home TV shopping. So there's also QVC in China. So yeah, but I always found fashion is my true calling. Since I was little, I like to play with my mom's vintage sewing machine, the one with the wheel. If you know that, manually, you have to manually go with it. So in 2015, I made a choice, I don't want to live the rest of my life like that, without a meaning, or meaningless for me. So I really want to pursue my dream. Of course, Parsons is very famous. I actually applied to different schools. I never thought Parsons will accept me. So when I received that mini admission letter, I was so thrilled and cried for a long time. Okay.
So I studied this broad arts degree in college and got my first exposure to graphic design and typography there. Thought it was interesting, but didn't want to sort of focus on it so completely. I wasn't convinced that was what I wanted to do. I got really excited about fashion toward the end of my undergraduate and spent some time putting a loose book together. Got really lucky with an assistant design role for a children's clothing company. So I spent 2 years there pulling swatches, organizing swatches, dreaming about swatches, and just I didn't feel the same passion that I had hoped I would, but every time I would walk by the sort of brand marketing design team, I got so excited. I had so many questions and opinions, and I just started noticing that I was feeling more passionate about that direction than the one I originally went down. So at that point, I really quickly decided, I want to pivot. I started applying for every job I could find, and I just kept getting the same feedback, which is that my portfolio didn't look like one of a designer, or a graphic designer rather. And I felt like I tried to look at the online, the lynda.coms, I tried to do it myself and really felt like I wanted to go back and get the proper formal education. So it was at that point that I found the AAS degree, and it seemed so well tailored to someone in my exact shoes I knew I was creative, but I wanted to pivot within that world, so it was a good call, I think.
Thanks. And that's really all very inspiring. It's not easy to make a career change. It does take a certain level of bravery, but the great thing is that our staff here is also very educated in how to work with people making the career transition. So it's definitely possible, and this degree clearly really does it for you. So I would love to hear a little bit about maybe a favorite experience or class that you had while you were at Parsons.
It's going to sound crazy. I kind of miss working with my classmates late night in the lab. I used to love chugging iced coffee and eating cashews until 2 in the morning doing projects. But it sounds daunting, but it's actually very fun and I miss it. And kind of preps you for the real world if you're working for a tiny firm. Sometimes you're pulling those all-nighters. But yeah, it was very fun. It's an intense program, but it is really, you kind of form this bond with the people you're with, and working late nights with them was a really fun experience, I'd say. So,
probably some of the most memorable moments I had throughout the course was the guest speakers and also the sort of field trips that you take. One of the highlights was we went and visited the Gap headquarters, and they have this amazing archive now. So growing up in the 90s, all of the Gap logos and those amazing moments. So it was great to revisit those clothing and, to hear the inside stories of how they've come to collect them, and also how it's sort of gotten the brand to where it is today.
I found there were so many favorite things for me. So the first is the curriculum is so well tailored. It's really prepare you to be ready to get into the industry after graduation, because it's really combination of technique, combination of concept, and a lot of things. The second, I really appreciate the environment because it's a group of people with very strong-minded. None of them want to stay ordinary. So when you put yourself in that environment, you always want to go the best and push the best out of yourself because everybody is doing so. And then after graduation, of course, the friendship you build up is really I feel like helped me a lot. And also like the networking, also the opportunities, so many things Parsons provide for the student, competitions, external project. So there's a lot of opportunities for you to really get to the industry and for you to show your talent. I feel like I can only have all this in Parsons.
I took a printmaking course that was by far, I think, the most rigorous and therefore memorable classes I've ever taken. We were really treated like we were a design studio. Each assignment was given to us like it was a client brief, and we were expected to do the same level of research and experimentation and have drafting that I now do in my current job. And I think that really prepared me for sort of how much you have to put into a project to make it like really give back to you. And I also loved how physical it was, which is something that in graphic design I don't do as much as I would like. You know, being in front of a computer screen, it was nice to really use my hands and like mix inks and get in there and sort of, it was harken back to the way it used to be done, which I think provided such a great perspective that I don't think everybody in the industry really gets a hold of. So.
Okay. And I think it would be great to hear not only what you're doing professionally now, but kind of how you got there. And did you do any internships? Did you engage with career services while you were in school? And how did that kind of lead you to where you are today?
I did not take advantage of career services when I was at Parsons, but I probably should have. I was too busy. I kind of did the course in 3 semesters, so I was really stressed out and busy. I didn't have time for an internship, but I should have done it. Do it if you do it. So when I graduated, I kind of did an internship. Like the summer after I graduated, I did a quick kind of internship with the designer. And then I tried to be my own interior designer and got like one really good client that kind of I worked with for 2 years and was kind of like somewhat keeping me afloat. But then I found this great company called Home Polish, which is basically, they're like agents for you. They find you clients. They're not involved in the design. You're doing your own independent design. You can be as creative as possible. And I worked with them for about 3 years. The last year I was there, I was like an in-house designer for them, so I went full-time with them. Then I left that company and I started working with a really tiny firm called, I hate saying the name, Jersey Ice Cream Company. You should all follow them on Instagram. They're great. It was a really great company in that their whole premise is that it's a couple, Tara and Percy, shout out. They design and build in the space. So we basically, it was just the 3 of us, and we would live on site from Monday through Friday, and then I would just be back in Brooklyn on the weekends. But we would be doing stuff ourselves. We'd be like I would be like demoing bathrooms and like tiling and like ripping out tubs. And yeah, it was kind of great because I got to see a lot of things. Like we did like a tiny cabin upstate. We were doing a house out in the Hamptons. We did like a beautiful house up in Maine, a little hotel in Philly. And then that company, they decided to take a break. So I took the summer off. And now since September, I've been designing with WeWork, which designs co-working spaces all throughout the city. Specifically, I'm in their new-ish branch called We Live, which is kind of communal. It's like shared living, but not dormy, shared living. You have your own apartments, but there's amenity spaces kind of on each floor, like a bar, a kitchen, a library. And so yeah, I've been designing with them since September, and that's it for me.
So the first sort of internship I did was definitely Fashion Week. I recommend everyone becomes involved. It's really fun to do with your friends within the course, and it's also the best way to network, I found. So that was sort of how I did it throughout the course. Then as part of the fashion marketing course, there's obviously the internship subject. So I did that with a PR agency in Soho. That was really great, and it's definitely, I found, helped me sort of settle in the city. And then following my graduation, Parsons has a great relationship with Ukes Net-a-Porter Group. and I am now working within the UX team as part of the Parsons partnership, and that's sort of working within the partnerships and branding team, and it's been really great working for such an established international team and sort of coming in to have that student perspective.
Well, I've done one internship, which is help Parsons have my graduate designer to finish his collection. It was really a nice experience. And then after that, for this season, they come back and call me again. So it's like, would like to come back to help us again. So it's like a very, I'm very grateful for the experience because he dressed Rihanna a lot. So, and also, like, I want to mention one thing because of opportunity Parsons gave us. Before I graduated, I was in a class, external class called Neiman Marcus, which is to create a look for Neiman Marcus, inspired by the Dean of American Fashion, Neiman. I didn't win for that class. I know the winner is doing very well now. Like he's featured on Neiman Marcus lookbook, and he's having his new collection. But not, even though I didn't win, that class pushed the best out of me, that I created something I'm very satisfied. I think it's represented myself. And then last month, a lady found my look on Instagram, and she invited me for free to walk down the runway in her fashion week. So, I mean, yes, I didn't win, but thanks to Parsons, thanks to that class, that I was able to make something I'm very satisfied to represent myself. So, and then after the runway show, she's very happy, and she come here, and then she invited me for the second runway show, and there was other people come to me, and now I'm on a few freelancing project, and also thanks to the knowledge I gained from Parsons, thanks to my construction 2 teacher, Irina, really eye-opening, really opened my mind. So I was able to teach an online fashion school for all the pattern making skills and creative draping skills. So I do feel like once I get an opportunity, the more opportunity come to me thanks to Parsons and thanks to the experience of Parsons, because when people know that I graduated from Parsons, it was like, wow, no wonder you're doing well. So thank you.
I did intern while I was at Parsons. I interned for a semester at Lucky Magazine, which is no longer around. But I also freelanced throughout my entire time there for pretty much anyone that would take me on. And I continued that beyond graduation. And my strategy was I was getting so many more freelance offers than full-time that I wanted to either start in a freelance capacity and see if I could transition to full-time or use that the freelance work to build my book and have some more real-world experience to put in there to use to get a full-time job. So I will say the faculty was incredible in terms of recommending or looking as I went around before graduation, telling them who I was interested in working with. People had friends, and they were very helpful in connecting. And 6 months later, I got my first full-time role with a fashion brand called Veronica Beard. I was there for about a year and a half, and as pretty much their only creative outside of the fashion design team. And so I did website, e-blast, blog, anything that was visual for the brand I was taking care of. And a year and a half later, I started at Madewell as the senior graphic designer. So I was handling the print team, so everything there that you could physically touch in terms of advertising, packaging, visual displays in store, catalog. That was all my team's work. And then last summer, I started as an art director there. So right now, I'm still managing the print team and also the social media element, planning Instagram, Insta stories, all of that, and sort of translating that voice that I got such I think, solid background in the print design world through these new channels, and now moving into video, which is a brand new frontier, but it's all been sort of an evolution from that starting place. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. And just to wrap up, is there a piece of advice that you could give to the students applying to the AAS programs this year?
Yeah, I'd say take advantage of things like networking. The faculty is fantastic. The people you meet, I still work with a lot of the students I went with. We'll still do little projects here and there together. But yeah, networking, like Parsons has a lot of connections, and your faculty is usually out there working in your field, which is really nice. So they can give you real life advice, and take advantage of that, get to know people.
Mine's quite similar, but really get to know your professors. Their stories are amazing, from hearing about like Valentino in the 70s to like now running their own PR agencies within New York. That's amazing, and a lot of my friends throughout the course, they're now working with like leading brands like Saint Laurent or whatever would fit their desired goal, and that's all through getting to know their professors and also learning from the experiences they've had. So definitely, yeah.
Well, my advice is first to take advantage of the library if you enroll, because that was the most amazing fashion library that I found. Like there's books from history, technique, and everything, millinery, everything that you want to know about fashion. And secondly, I would say be prepared. You're not going to be comfortable because it's so intensive for the curricula. So I remember I get up at 4 for a long time. So, but you will get more than you expected. And then also participate as many competitions or participate as many external projects as possible, because that's your chance. And that's only the chance that you can get with Parsons, not in any other school. And then make friends.
I would advise if you're entering and you know what you want to do later, like in my case, I knew I wanted to merge my degree with fashion in some way, to really use the experience to tailor your projects to that end goal. Because going in, I was able, there are some projects that we got that were very specific to like a specific company or brand, but there were many of them that were open-ended, and we got the opportunity to create things out of thin air. So when I graduated, I had a book full of fashion work that made it a lot easier for me to then go to fashion brands and show them like how I envisioned how I could like relay my work to what I thought they could use. And so even if you don't know, I think like specifically what you want to do, if you can start identifying as your classes go forward and start creating something that feels focused and cohesive, I think it'll let you enter the workforce a little more efficiently.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your stories. We love hearing how successful Parsons alum have been. Love to give you a round of applause. And now I'll pass the mic back over to Courtney. Thanks.
It's always a tough act to follow because the student speakers are the best part of the morning presentation. So I'm thrilled to have told you a bit about our associate programs and our community today. From our inception, we've been innovative, experimental as an institution focused on designing solutions for a better world, where you're going to find energy that inspires passion and camaraderie with both like-minded and diverse communities, and a memorable experience like no other. Thank you guys so much for coming out today. We look forward to what will take place now in the breakout sessions. Thank you.